Okay, everyone. So we're starting now. Just tell me whether my screen is visible or not. Are you able to
Yes,
see my
ma'am, it's
screen?
visible. Yes.
Am I audible clearly?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we are starting with first unit, which is advanced networking, or in other word, you can say network programming. So before I begin the session, I would like to inform you that this unit is all about how we can connect our, how we can create our application that is a Java program, and how can we club it with other device, or how we can have the connection in order to pass the messages. So up till now, we learned that when I say Java technology, basically there are three variants of Java technology. Can anyone tell me what are those three variants? I mean, those who were in the lab, I guess they are aware. What are the variants? There are three variants of Java technology. Based on the nature of the software or application being developed, either you can use
J2SE.
exactly J2SE Vishnu, exactly J2SE. J2SE stands for Java 2 Standard Edition. Okay. Okay. What is the next one? The second one?
J2EE.
Exactly J2EE. That is Enterprise Edition. Right. And the third one is? The third
J2ME.
one is J2ME. Yeah, Sunny, exactly. J2, Sunny is also asking J2ME, J2SE, and J2EE. So M stands for mobile, or few literature gives us a micro, right? So it is usually for the tiny devices. The software, if you want to develop for tiny devices, you can go with that. But when I say J2SE, I am talking about Java 2 Standard Edition, the one which you learn in your core Java. Usually J2SE is for developing the desktop-based application. At times, this desktop-based application wants to get connected to server. And even the desktop application or desktop application can talk to the device which is there in the network, right? So J2SE usually develops the desktop application where we can apply the networking. It means that we can make two different systems to talk with each other, as well we can have the database connectivity. We can have database connectivity. Fine. So if I talk about Java 2 Standard Edition, so this and J2EE, these two things are there in your syllabus. From this, J2SE fundamental you have learned in your previous semester, the core Java subject, right? For the desktop-based application, what are the basic program construct, how we can go with the control structures such as for each, do while, as well you have learned like how array can be given as an class, how can we go with the array list, map, hash map, everything you learn, right? Apart from that, the things which were not covered in your J2SE previous semester subject is Java networking and database connectivity. So this is our unit number 1, right, which we are starting today, and this one is unit number 2, JDBC, which is making your application to be connected with your desktop, with the database. So with chapter number 1, we will go with the normal Java program where we will create a file and we'll give .java extension, and it will have the main method, right? And through which we will, like if we are having client and server both, everybody kindly mute yourself. So if we have a certain client server type of application to be developed, we can go with that and we can just create two different programs, server.java and client.java. Both will have the main method, and then we can write the application logic. So this is about your J2SE part, unit 1 and unit 2, where we are going to use normal Java program with main methods, and then we'll go ahead. J2EE with a totally different scenario where we will talk more about distributed environment, where multiple server or multiple layer of your applications are there, and we can have more than 2 servers involved in your application development, right? So this is our unit number 3 will give the theoretical and introduction and theoretical part of what is J2EE and what is its architecture, what type of applications we can go with that. And the third variant, which is not in your syllabus, J2ME is not there. So if you want to go ahead, you can go by your own. So let us start officially now, unit number 1, Java networking. So before I move forward, can anyone tell me what is network? What is network? Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, somebody is asking, ma'am, are you speaking? That's why I asked, like. Okay, so I got few replies. Sunny saying sharing of data through media. Exactly, sharing of data through media. When I say define computer network, Ibrahim is saying connection of nodes or entity. Yeah. Neol is saying a connection between 2 or more devices. Exactly, connection between 2 or more devices. Ashish is saying interconnection of device. Absolutely. Krishna is saying client and server communication. And Janvi is saying it is end-to-end device connection where some material, via some material, not the material, I guess you want to say medium, right? It's an end-to-end device connection via some medium. And this medium can be wired or wireless, right? Shubham is saying connection established between computer and shared information. And Pooja is saying interconnected device. So yeah, partially everybody is correct. But when we say about, Shubham, kindly mute yourself. Shubham Adhari. But when we say networking, we should give a proper definition, which is like networking means connecting 2 or more devices via wired or wireless medium in order to have the resource sharing, right? So when we are connecting 2 different devices with any medium, either it's a LAN where we are using the LAN cable and we have wired medium, or we are using certain wireless medium, such as NIC, right? Network interface card, or something like your Wi-Fi module of your system. And if you are trying to connect in order to have the resource sharing. Now, when I say resource can be either a hardware or it can be a piece of information, right? Any of this hard or soft resource can be shared, right? And when I say Java networking, we are talking about the programming concepts which will allow us to do so, which will allow us to share the information, to share the files with other node. And we can create such 2 different programs which are stored in 2 different laptops. You can do that. If you would have been available on the campus, we would have done this. We would have used each other's IP address and we would have developed the chat meeting. Right now also we'll do that, but that will do for the local system. That is within your laptop only we will create client and server, right? So basically when I say network, we know that each and every device will have certain identity. So have we identified the device over the network? Using what? Device identification. How it happens? IP, exactly, MAC and IP address, right? So IP address is the numeric label given to a machine. And when I say we have an IP address, let us say if I have my machine, this is my machine, right? And I have certain properties of it, right? I'll have network settings, and I'll have certain IP address and everything for this machine, right? When I am opening a browser, let us say this is my web browser, where somewhere my email is open, somewhere my meeting with you people is going on, and let us suppose I am searching something on the Google, right? Right. So right now, what is happening in a single machine, in a single laptop, I am having 3 different websites which are open. One, which is the Google, second, Cisco WebEx, and third one, something upgrade related to my research. I posted something and I have some random website. Now, what happens over here is, when I am having a device will have the IP address. So this is the logical address, and through this logical address, we will identify this device over the network. But when a single device is, or a single IP, we will say now single IP is requesting for different resource, right? So obviously we are connecting to different servers, right? In that case, all the data packets will arrive through network to this system, right? And when something is arriving to the system, we need to make end-to-end connection between 2 applications. Mind well, I'm not saying device, I'm saying applications. So here where the socket comes in the picture, when I say socket address is end-to-end connection between applications, right? Endpoint connection, you can say, right? Endpoint connection between 2 applications, right? Are you getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right? So IP address is for the machine. When I say IP address, I'm talking about my laptop or my mobile or sometime my PC, personal computer, which is in lab. But when I say socket address, I'm talking about endpoint of the application which I have opened over here. This is now a client side. Client is using the web browser, and from this web browser, we are making the connection with this upgrade.com, which is some website, right? Which is some website. Fine. So we need only IP will not work in this case, because you see single IP, multiple responses are coming from different servers. So what we required is, we required something given dedicatedly for the communication of that particular application. So that is what socket address is. But in short, we can say socket address is the combination of IP address plus port number. IP address plus port number. Now this port number is also like your IP address, a logical thing. Port is always a logical thing. There are certain values for some applications where we are using the default port. Do you know what is the default port for email? Anyone? What is the default port for email? Have you heard it ever in network subject or somewhere? Okay, let me tell you, it's 21. You have used Oracle, yes or no? In the 3rd semester, we have used Oracle. So Oracle is the database. And when we install the database, ultimately you are using the Oracle server. You are installing the Oracle server. Do you know the default port? 1521, right? Similar way, if you are interested in web development, usually MySQL is the database management system, which is the choice of most of the developer because it is open source. It is having GUI based interactive environment. That's why people prefer it. So the default port for MySQL is the 3306. Similar way, when you are connected to your laptop, always we are sending the HTTP request, and the default port for the HTTP is port number 80. Port number 80. Yeah, exactly. My voice is breaking. Is it for everybody? Ibrahim is saying my
No,
voice
ma'am.
is. Okay, and then Ibrahim, I just request kindly check your end because others are fine. Okay, right. So these are the certain default port. Okay, so what we are concluding over here is we are saying that we are having IP address, which is the logical address, and it is for the identification of your machine or device over the network. But when I say socket address, usually socket address is combination of IP plus port number, which will be unique because each and every application needs some dedicated point to have the communication. So socket address is the endpoint connection between two different applications, right? And we discuss certain default ports. Okay, so when we have Java, usually Java socket programming provides you this facility to share the data between different computing devices. And classes and interfaces related to Java networking is given in java.net package. Over here, net stands for network. So if you want to develop such applications, you need to import. We know that, right? There are some certain API. What is API? What is API? What is API?
Application Programming Interface.
Exactly, Yograj. It is application programming interface. And what that's a full form. What it will do? What it will do? Anybody? Application Yes, Kaison?
Connect between a server, a back end and a front end.
That is regarding a particular, you're being specific. Yeah, if I say I have JDBC API, it means it is trying to connect my program to database. I need some interface, right? So we require certain functions and few things to do so. So that is JDBC API. Usually when I say API, basically API is the collection of built-in classes and interface, right? Built-in classes and interface. And these classes and interfaces will have various methods, and we can use these methods, which we at times call the library functions or library methods. You can directly use these various methods in your code. So if you want to use a certain functionality, you need an API. So right now, I'm saying that the socket programming is Java socket programming is done when we want to go for the networking based application. And I'm saying that you need to import java.net package. It means that I'm saying that we will work with the network API, network related, or you can say socket API of Java. Fine, fine. Okay. So why we do the networking, like what is the ultimate purpose? As I said, there is major two purpose of any networking, and obviously the Java networking also provide that two advantages. Either we'll do it for the resource sharing, or we will do it for the centralized software management, right? See, we have our Marwadi portal, or sometime you're using the Google Docs or Google Spreadsheet to have the centralized software management, or to share a resource between your colleagues. Suppose you are working on a project and you decided that everybody will work on one chapter, and all the chapters you want to finish in a go. So you have divided the work. What you will do is you will share that software resource with your colleague. You will make a shared doc over the Google. So that's the advantage of networking. Now, if we talk about the few basic terminologies, then to understand the Java networking terminology, you should be aware with the IP, protocol, port number. What is protocol? What is protocol?
The rule that govern the communication.
Exactly. These are the rules which decide how the communication between two devices will be carried out. So we say protocol are the set of rules to be followed, right? Then we discuss about the port number as well, MAC address. And there are protocols which can be like divided into the two part, connection oriented and connectionless. Which one is connection oriented, TCP or UDP? TCP, exactly, Ashish. And yeah, Pooja, you are right. What about UDP? What about UDP? Connectionless, right? Connectionless. As well, we studied just now before few minutes what is socket. So as I said you, IP address is a unique number assigned to each and every node of a network. Now device is known as node also, right? Usually it is composed of the octet, which is ranging from 0 to 255, and this is the logical address, so it can be changed. Fine. Protocol, as we said, set of rules basically followed for the communication, and there are so many protocols which are available. For example, we have TCP, UDP, FTP, Telnet, RRP, ARP, like address resolution protocol. We have POP, SMTP for simple mail transfer protocol, right? So all these are the examples. Along with that, as I told you, port number, which is uniquely identifying different applications on your device, right? And it acts as an endpoint of the communication. Just before few minutes, we discussed that, right? So port number is associated with the IP address for the communication between two applications. So usually when you want to have programming of two end-to-end point in two different devices, you are going to use the socket address, that is IP plus port number. MAC address, yeah, can anyone tell me what is the difference between IP address and MAC address? What is the difference? Anyone?
MAC
What is
address,
the
the address of the physical device, well, the IP address can be the logical, the internet one.
Exactly. So Ibrahim, who will give this IP MAC address?
Address is
MAC address is
the
given
company.
by the manufacturer mostly, and IP address can be self-assigned or it can be obtained from the DHCP server.
Exactly, exactly. So usually the network administrator decides the network scenario and he will assign the IP addresses, right? Or sometime automatically using certain software. And when I say MAC address, this is the one which is not going to change. But when I say IP address, it may change. It may change, right? So MAC address stands for Media Access Control Address, which is unique identifier for network interface controller. We call it as NIC, which is there in each and every device. So
May I ask, ma'am,
yeah, go ahead.
what is the difference between port number and ID?
Port number and IP.
ID.
ID? Which ID? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
ID.
getting you.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Can you type the question, because I'm confused. You are saying ID or ID. I'm not getting your point. Can you type the question? You are asking the difference between port number and yeah,
ID.
ID. Kaisen, are you asking port number and
ID, ma'am. ID.
yeah, this is what I have.
ID.
Yeah, on screen it is. I guess he is
Yes,
speaking,
ma'am.
but
That's exactly
okay.
what I asked
Okay,
for.
okay. So there is no difference, because it is like when I say email address and at time I say email ID. So ID stands for identification. So usually identification is something which is given as an to know or to recognize something, right? So ID is identification. So either we can say port number or we can say port ID. There is no difference. These are the synonyms. You can use either of them. Okay, so there's no technical difference.
I got it.
Okay. So we were Yeah, somebody else was also asking. Is there any other question? Uh, Sachit, we are studying right now unit number 1, advanced networking. Okay. So this is a basic thing which is required to understand the upcoming discussion. Fine. So now we are clear with the MAC address and IP address and the socket address, right? Now, when I say protocol, as we are very well aware, I'm not going much into the deeper of connection oriented and connection less because I guess you have already studied it in computer network. But basically, when I say connection oriented, we are talking about the acknowledgement sent by the receiver. So there will be three-way handshaking. Like client will request, server will receive that request, then server will respond. So this is request 1 and response 1. When response is received, right, client is going to acknowledge. Client is going to acknowledge, right? So acknowledgement is possible in connection oriented, right? But when I say usually TCP is the connection oriented protocol. Acknowledgement, right? Whether the acknowledgement is sent by the receiver or not, we are not bothered about, right? So it is usually the not reliable because we are not having any assurity that whether the response has been received or not. So we can say connection less protocol are not reliable, whereas connection oriented protocols are the reliable one. That's why when you want your message must be reached and you want an assurity that it has been received, you should go with the connection oriented protocol. So the example of connectionless is UDP. Can anyone give me real life example of connection oriented where you feel like this is fine, like if I'm using the connection less scenario, any application or somewhere where you feel here it is fine if I'm going with connection oriented scenario? Any idea? Money transaction, of course, we need acknowledgement, right? So transaction, all the financial transaction we are talking about, right? Financial transaction must be connection oriented. Very good. What about connection less?
Online streaming, video streaming.
Video streaming? Video streaming.
Yeah, like YouTube streaming. There's no connection. There's no acknowledgement.
Yeah, exactly. Video streaming. What else? What else? Connection oriented. The application which we use in daily basis. Can we look at that? Where you'll put your WhatsApp? WhatsApp application, you will put in which category?
Connection oriented.
Why? Ashish, you are right.
Ma'am,
but why?
we need to transfer the message. Maybe there is any corruption in the message or message is not passed, then it will be some types of error. So
No, why you are feeling like it's connection oriented? Have you seen any acknowledgement? That's the question. Why you feel WhatsApp, you are right. I'll put it here. WhatsApp is connection oriented. But my question is why you feel that? Why it is connection oriented? Anybody can answer. It's connection oriented or connection less? Let me tell you, it is connection oriented.
we receive the scene feature. So
We will receive.
a blue tick comes when it is
Exactly. When you are receiving 2 blue tick mark, right? That blue color tick marks are the acknowledgement signals. They are the acknowledgement signals, right? So this is why we can say that it is connection oriented, right? What about email? Now I am asking you the tricky question. email. I'll tell you why it is tricky. So you just give the answer: connectionless or connection oriented. Email.
Connection oriented.
Connection oriented. Ashish is
Yes,
saying
ma'am.
connection oriented. Abisha is saying
Ma'am, I said connection less.
connection.
It's not connection oriented.
Kaisen
connection
and
oriented.
Abisha, do you know that there is a setting possible? I can change my settings and I can make it whether person has read it or not. I can do that. Do you know that?
No, ma'am.
I don't
From
know.
the settings, we can do that. When the person has seen that email, we can just
Email tracker, right?
sorry.
Email tracker.
Yeah, email tracker, or whether that read has happened or not, we can do it from somewhere. I just forgot the option, but I did it in between. Right? So what this will do is, this will put your email in the connection oriented scenario, because you are just seeing that whether it is read or not, and once it is read, you are just getting the acknowledgement, right? But what about promotional emails of any e-commerce website? Are you getting the question now?
Connectionless, ma'am.
Obviously, it has to be connectionless, right? It is connectionless, right? So are you getting the point? What I'm trying to say is that it's not always that if you see something, like if you see like email, you will say that it will be connectionless. But I'm saying it is official Gmail and I have put the acknowledgement, like when people is reading, I need to get notified, right? So in that case, it will not come here, right? In that case, it will come here, right? But when I'm saying that it is a promotional promotional email of any company which is taking email addresses in a bulk and they are sending the discounts related or product related information, they are not bothered whether you are reading that or not, right? So in that case, it is connectionless. So at times, it depends on the requirement of your application. What is your need? Based on that, you have to choose the scenario, right? Because ultimately, when we say something which is being happen or something which you are developing, obviously, as a developer, you are the one who is going to decide, right? So this is about connection oriented and connectionless. As well, I said socket and point of communication, right? In the two-way communication devices and point. So it means socket will be both the side, client and the server side, for the two-way communication.
I have a question.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ibrahim.
Can we say that a program can able to have a more than one type of the connectionless and connection oriented at the same time? Just like
Single program or a functionality? What is your question now? See, there are two things, right? You are saying a program can be connection oriented, right? I'll write in a full form, and connectionless at a time. My answer is no. No.
Ma'am,
Just a second, Kaisen, let me answer him. But if you are saying a software can be connection oriented and connectionless at a time, then answer is yes, because software is a collection of programs. So if you are changing the setting of Gmail and you are making it to have the acknowledgement, it becomes, or it performs like in connection oriented application, right? And if you are not, then by default, it is not giving any acknowledgement, so it is connectionless. So that is the software. Gmail entirely is the software. But when you say a single program, then to make it connection oriented or not, that depends on your setting. And based on your setting, a particular program will run in the backend. It will run in the backend. So a program at a time can't be connection oriented and connectionless, but a software based on the functionality implemented by the developer can be connection oriented or connection led. But at a time for a single client, not possible. That depends on how you're proceeding. Am I answer your? Are you clear, Ibrahim? Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Kaisen, go ahead. Kaisen, go ahead.
I mean, also I get what I was needed to ask.
Okay, okay. Text messages, nowadays when we are sending, usually all the mobiles are like giving, I guess it's not giving, right? Is it giving? Let's see. I'm not using SMS nowadays, so I'm not sure. No, I guess it is not connection oriented. It is connection less. Right now I'm checking my mobile screen. I sent 2 SMS yesterday and nobody has like given like any acknowledgement or something like that is not there. So text messages are usually connectionless. SMS if you are talking about. Shyam. Okay. Okay, can I move forward? Okay, fine. So let us go ahead. If I have missed something, you can just like tell me. You can just unmute yourself and you can ask. Okay, fine. Now let us move ahead and discuss something new. Have you people studied? I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking. Have you people studied C++? Say yes or no. Have you people studied?
ma'am.
C?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Then I guess you are very well aware that when I want to go with C out, what is C out? And whenever I want to go with C in, right? What is C out?
Output stream.
Output stream. Yes, Ahmed, what is it?
Yes, it's for output.
But what is it? Function or keyword or what is it?
Function or
No, my friend, it's not a function. Anybody else? What is C in and what is C out?
They are streaming.
They are? Ashish, what is that?
Stream.
Stream. They are stream.
Yes.
Can you correct yourself? Like little correction is required.
Ma'am, that is an object of class OS stream.
Exactly, exactly. Whenever I want to use C in and C out, I write iostream.h. When I write iostream.h, and over here iostream is the base class, parent class. iostream is having 2 child class. One is istream, which is for input. One is ostream, which is for output. And you can see over here, C out. C out is not the function, not the keyword. It's an object of ostream class. And you can see here, C in is the object of istream class. Now, over here, stream means something which is going to be given to your output console. Your output console can be your screen or it can be some output device. At times, it can be file also. Fine. And when I say C in, I'm talking about input, console input. So when I say console input, console output, I'm talking about the screen and the keyboard, because console is the device, input device or output device, which is the primary one in your system, right? So C out and C in are the objects of iStream and OStream class. Being very much specific, C out is the object of OStream class and C in is the object of iStream class. Now my question is, now I'm coming to my question. What is stream? What do you mean by stream?
Data.
Yeah, Ashish, go ahead.
Flow of data.
Flow of data. Okay. Okay. Exactly. That's what a stream means. When I say stream, it can be defined as a sequence of data, right? Sequence of data. When you say enter a number, there is some data, some string, sequence of characters you are sending to your output stream, right? And when somebody is going to enter a number, it is a sequence of data. We know that each and every key is having certain code, and when you press it, it is being treated as a data. So when I say stream, usually stream can be defined as a sequence of data. That depends whether you have taken as an input stream or output stream. Fine. So this is what we have learned. Usually streams can be either a byte stream or it can be the character stream. This is, I'm talking about Java, being very much specific. When I say byte stream, we are talking about input stream classes, which are usually related to read. And when I say output stream, these are the classes which are related to write. This is general for all the languages. It is like that. We have byte stream as well. We have character stream. Depends. At time we are going. So this is somehow, you see, I'm connecting your C++. I'm connecting your network in order to learn the Java networking. We know that communication can be sequential or parallel, asynchronous and synchronous, right? When I say parallel communication, at a time so many bits can be passed. So we are talking about byte stream. When I say sequential, at a time only one character will pass. So for that we do have reader classes and writer classes. So we have two types of stream, byte stream and character stream. Now, when I say input stream, usually it is used for reading the data from a source. And when I say output stream, it is used to write data to the destination, right? So input stream and output stream are basically are the basic stream classes in Java. So we do have input stream and output stream. Be clear with this because these are the two terms which we are going to use practically a lot in our programming, right? What we want is, we want input stream as well as output stream. So these are the two basic classes of Java API. So you can use those classes and classes object in order to use the methods which are available there to take the input, which is sequence of data. Now, I guess, yeah, we have still 7 minutes, so we can go forward and we can discuss about this client-server communication. Basically, how client-server communication happens is like this. We will be having a program. Now, forget about your browser. I'm not talking about your browser. I'm talking about a simple or a base scenario of a networking, right? You know that, right? To know whether our system is connected or not, we are sending ping. We are sending the ping command. And what ping command does? What ping command does? Ping command is sending the few packets continuously to ensure that you are available for the network connection acceptance. Your device is available for network connection acceptance. So if I have a client server system and if I want to have the communication between these two, this is client and this is server. Many a times it happens, I have noticed that students are not much clear with the basic terms, and that leads to the difficulty of learning the subject. So my usual practice would be, I'll clear the basic thing. What is server? Once you are clear with the basic, you can read the complex scenario by your own. What do you mean by server?
Server is a device that responds on the client's request.
Yeah, who's there? I guess Ashish. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? What is server?
Can be any device that can able to hold the data and accept the request for fetching that data.
Exactly, right? So when we say server, no, people will have a big picture in the mind. It is not reality. Always it is not like that. Any device which can accept the input, which can process your request, and which can give certain response is the server, right? But when I talk about the commercial servers, where we are hosting the application or where we have saved our database, obviously these servers are the powerful PCs, powerful computer, Usually, if I have a laptop, what would be the capacity? Minimum, I'll have the 8 GB of RAM and 1 terabyte of hard disk. That's it. Max to max, I'll have 2 terabyte of hard disk and 16 GB of main memory, RAM. But when I'm talking about servers, servers will have main memory in the terabytes and hard disk in the petabytes, right? Which is making that system powerful enough to handle so many requests at a time. Do you know that normally 32-bit system is having the more than 32 port number. Logically, this much connection is possible with any of the system. It means your laptop even can handle more than 32,000 requests, right? But when I'm saying server is more powerful computer, and that's why the hardware resource capability is much more higher, and that's why at a time it can handle more requests. But if you are developing your project, which is for a class or for a 5,000 or 10,000 kind of user, it is fine. You can store it in your laptop also. You can make your laptop also as a server. Fine. So what we are doing is, right now, we are being clear how communication happens between client and server. In our case, we are going to make a scenario like where our same PC is working as a server and same PC is working as a client, right? For the learning purpose, we'll do that. So when I say client-server communication, we do have a client machine and a server machine. Now we are very well clear that socket is the end point of communication between two applications. When I'm saying two applications, I'm talking about a normal program, client.java, server.java, a normal program. So this socket should be open for the connection, because client will send the request through the client socket, right? And as it is sending something out, client will have client output stream, right? This big arrow are the network. So it may be geographically dispersed. There could be a long distance between client and server. Now, this is server, and the server is having the input stream because server has to accept the request coming from the client. Sometimes we say server is a powerful machine which is accepting the request is 24/7. It means day and night it is open for the request. It is always accepting the connections. Fine. So what server will do? It will receive the request. If certain parameters are there, it will read the parameter. It will process it over here. So now the calculation up till now, C and C++ program input was given in the same system, same microprocessor was processing it, and same system's output device was displaying it. Now the scenario is different. Client is giving the input. But we are sending it out. So you will say it is sent through the output stream. Through the network, it will reach to the server. Server has to generate the output, but it is accepting the input coming from the client. So server will read from the input stream. It will process it, generate the response. Now you have answer, because calculation happened at the server side. You have answer available with your server. So what server will do? Server will write that output to your output stream, right? Through the network, it will be given to the client. Client socket will read that input stream, and ultimately the job is done. Are you getting the scenario? Everybody? Any doubt, any questions up till now? How client-server communication happens? Is this diagram clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I guess that's it for today. Next lecture onwards, we will see what are the, the system call at the operating system level required. So this is basically socket API. At socket level, what are the application programming interface? And then we'll be learning like a very simple application where we can read and write the simple Java application. So whatever discussion we have made, based on that, next time we will try to develop a simple client server program which will process the input, which will process the input, and it will allow you to see the output coming from the server. So that's it from my end. If you have any technical query or anything else which is required, you can just ask.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
I just want to ask,
Yeah.
when are you going to upload the recorded lecture and the PPT?
Actually, recorded lecture I asked yesterday only. There are certain changes in the channel being created for your class. So we are waiting for that. In a day or two, it will be done. Don't worry, I have downloaded all the recorded videos, and surely I'll upload it soon. So once I upload it, I'll say you in the lecture. Within this week, I'll upload that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you. Same to you. Anybody else having any question? Okay, all of you can leave if you don't have any further questions.